And we're live.
So the
$8,000.
gentleman is $8,000 down. Apparently not even.
Well, I mean, that was just for one night, you know, like there was another night where he lost like several more $1,000. I don't know what it was, $5,000 or something like that. Yeah, the poker game is really big in the $50 Discord. If you want to play, you can join the $50 Discord. They play almost every night. They're playing right now. You can
get in. Yeah, Kyle plays a lot. You'll probably actually spend real time with him.
You might actually lose money to Kyle.
You might actually lose some money.
It's a thing we offer.
It's a thing we offer here. I'll take your money.
Kind of.
We call it a $50 Discord, but for some people, it's a $2,000 up Discord. For some people, it's like a used Camry down.
Yeah. They're playing right now, and it's hundreds of dollars are in the pot. Usually, they play like. For those who play poker, like 25 cent, 50 cent, or 50 cent, $1, or even $1, $2. But like maybe one night a week, they'll play like 2-5, and that'll progress into 5-10. And 5-10 is insane. 5-10 is insane.
I want to talk about my experience playing. So sometimes I hang out with the poker players, and it's interesting to watch. And because I'm a host, they're always happy to have me or whatever. I'm hanging out, and someone fronted me $50 to join the game. And at first, I felt like I played pretty well at first. A combo of playing well and just catching some good cards. You know, you can't win with a bad hand, or it's hard to win with a bad hand. And I had some good hands. And but I also is it called slow rolling when you don't like just immediately raise $16? That's when you show your cards slowly, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a different thing. That's a different thing.
What is it called when you just sort of like? I felt like I extracted all the money I could have out of the other players. Is there a term for that?
Just playing well, I guess.
Okay. Well, I felt like I made some good decisions on not like making people think I had a strong hand and getting them to do the raising. And I thought I did well. Maybe I didn't, but I thought it went well. And then what happened is I got a bunch of hands in a row that were neither awful or good. It was like, a jack and a 5. Well, that's a fixer-upper. You know, like, let's see what comes down what the first 3 cards are. And that concept of like, a 10 and a 4, this is a fixer-upper. Let's see what else we get. If we have a pair of 10s, maybe I want to play a little bit, is stupid. What would happen is I'd stay in the hand long enough to be in there for like $7 or something. And then once the cards were laid down, it costs like 13 to stay in the hand to the end and have a chance. So I'd fold, and I just kept folding, giving away more money than I had to. I should have folded earlier. And good players know they fold most of the time. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I wasn't letting math drive my decisions. At the very basic level, you look at how many cards you think it will take to win, and each card has about a 2% chance of coming. So you're like, if either this or this hits, it gives me a 4% chance. It's probably a bad decision to stick in this, hoping that I'm going to catch this. Anyway, so I'm not great at this math, but I understand it a little. And even I wasn't being smart based on what I understood. I feel like I was getting bullied. Like they're getting me in there for $5, and then they're making me spend 13 to get a chance to win at the end. Mm-hmm. So I fold, and that happened enough that I was like, "Fuck it, I'm standing up for myself. I'm gonna bully them. I'm going to be the guy that like puts my last $23 in there."
So I bought in for $200,000.
So they took it all, and I was like, "Fuck." I guess in my head, what I thought I would do when playing was the math. And when I look at the best players, the math really drives their decisions. Mm-hmm. And I quickly went into this like, well, shit, I'm getting pulled in. I'm getting pushed around. I'm standing up for myself. These are not the thought processes of a winning poker player. And I don't know. I just walked away. I sort of pondered on it after the game and stuff. I was like, you're smarter than you played. If that can be a thing, or you can be smarter than what you did.
Like you feel like you got emotional.
For sure. Yeah. I didn't just, like other players. There's one guy who has like a little matrix of like, if he gets this is what his initial bets will be, and that's so math driven. I, on the other hand, thinking along the lines of like fixer uppers and who's pushing me around. Stupid. So I like to think that I learned from it,
Mm-hmm.
that I would be better hypothetically if I ever played again. But I think it's interesting that I wasn't as good as I knew to be.
It's very math driven to some extent. You know, like there's range charts that people use based on position, and there's a couple different ways to play the game. Whether you're playing sport.
What is a range chart?
It's a range of hands that you will or will not play, and depending on your position in the table, as far as where the blinds are, and it's just like.
So you get your opening 2 cards. Those opening 2 cards might be worth playing at the start and not worth playing at the end. And they'll raise a lot if those opening 2 cards are extra good. That's what this range chart is, just so that your initial bet is just, it's not even a math decision. You could program it to do that.
Sure. Yeah. Your opens, I suppose you could program. It's kind of after the flop where things get a little bit more difficult, but it's a fun game. I like poker. I think I'm like even for the week. I kind of like one night I'll win 300, the next night I'll lose 300. So it's kind of been up and down.
I'm always confused by like hands where I'll watch sometimes on the Discord not playing, and I'll see someone on their stream that everybody's like honor system not watching. It'll be like a king and a jack, and I'm like, oh, those are like 2 really high cards. That's a good hand, and then fold because they're like, well, no, they're not right next to each other, and so the chance of a straight is blah 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 blah. And then someone else will get like a 4 or 5 and they keep it. Like, so that's confusing to me. That must
it depends on the player, right? Like some of them are just bad. Like some of those guys in there are just really bad at poker, and they're just like, I feel like playing a 3 and a 8, and like
that's a fixer upper.
And sometimes the flop will come 3-8-8. There is some chance built into the game. Yeah,
of course.
But I don't know. It's been a lot of fun.
Would you rather have a 4-5 or a king jack?
Or neither one good.
I would rather have
king
jack.
Jack.
If we're heads up, I'd rather have the king jack.
That's a good point
because
too.
They have to improve. The 4-5 is a good hand too, though. It's a really good drawing hand, especially if it's suited. It's called a suited connector when you have a hand like that, because it's really good at drawing at straights. It's really good at drawing at flushes. And if you were to open, as it's called, which is like when you raise pre-flop, let's say the blinds are $1, $2, and you make it $7 to go, so everybody has to call your $7. They might not be putting you on a 4 and a 5, so they probably wouldn't think you have a 4 and a 5. They might think you have like a small pocket pair or some over cards, like maybe you've got an ace and a queen or an ace and a jack or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to play the game. I'm definitely not the best. Those guys have a good time in there, though. It's when they were playing 5-10. I'm just watching. I'm not playing in that game. That's ridiculous. You need $1,000 just to sit down.
How many people are playing in those? Is the table full in those?
No, the table's not full when they're playing that high of a stakes. It's usually like 5 guys or something like that. But when we play like 1-2, like the table's
full. Does Dirty play in those?
Yeah. Dirty won a lot of money.
Dirty's a very good player. He tends to win more than he loses. And
Dirty won $3,000 that night.
Hell yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, a big part of it is maximizing what that hand could have done, right? Yeah, and I used too many words in the beginning. There were a couple hands where I thought I did that, where I thought that, if you gave those some hands to Dirty, he wouldn't have won more than me. I hope. But then I played stupid. Anyway, Dirty often plays smart. He makes good math decisions, and if he is a known winner, it would be dumb to just like go all in and get you to stop betting. Instead, he'll make you underestimate what he has. And anyway,
poker is one of those games that like I'll fantasize about being very good at, because I'm like, man, being good at poker is like cool. I'll wear sunglasses and fucking something, and I'll be cool
upside down.
Yeah, upside down sunglasses. They won't know I'm just crazy.
What Marcel Lusk does that. He would wear his sunglasses upside down. Famous poker player.
But yeah, I've never put any time into poker. It's just Texas Hold'em you guys play, right?
Yeah.
No variations or
no. We play Hold'em.
I enjoyed playing, but I think I would still be having guilt about losing $50 for some reason if I hadn't been fronted the money. Like that would sit on me. And I went up 77 in like, we'll call it 20 minutes. I went up 277. And I was like, everything in me wants to just pull out and call myself a lifetime winner. But that guy didn't front me $50 to play for 15 minutes and have me walk away with it all.
That would be so funny. You walk away with $47.
That was a question too. Like, who gets the winnings out of this?
You get the winnings.
Well, okay, but let's do this. You give me $50. I run it up to 77 and get out. I made more money off of your donation than I did off of my poker.
It is a question. Yeah, I think somebody's done that for Taylor before as well. Like fronted him a buy-in or whatever, just because they wanted him to sit down at the table.
I didn't win anything, but I survived for a while.
Yeah, that
was my barometer of doing okay.
Sometimes that's the best I can do is survive for a while.
I feel like it's hard for me to overcome the thought that you're supposed to fold more hands than you even play. Like 80%. Sometimes I'll see like Dirty play and he folds 7 times in a row. And I'm like, I guess that he's the poker expert. I guess that's the right move. It feels weird to you're 80% of the time be checking out.
Yeah, you're folding like 80% of your hands.
That's even higher than I imagined it being.
Yeah.
Are pros like that too?
Yeah.
Like 80?
Oh yeah, at least.
I guess you have to be really selective with it.
Yeah, because there's 10 other people. You want a strong hand if you're going to be putting money into the pot because you're betting based on like the strength of your hand and its drawing ability. So like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, preferably suited. Pairs. Pair of deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, all the way up. It's kind of all I play. I don't play a lot of nonsense. I don't play a lot of unsuited hands unless it's very cheap for me to get in and play with them. I play a lot of if I have an ace and anything else and it's suited because I can draw at the highest flush. I like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If I can play with any pair because you get if you've got 2 deuces and another deuce comes on the board and all of a sudden you've got a set. It's a very strong hand even though they're deuces. Stuff like that. I try to play pretty tight for the most part.
Yeah,
doesn't always go well. 3
of a kind, that beats a lot of shit, right?
Obviously, it beats 2 pair and 1 pair, but it doesn't beat flushes and straights. I made a straight flush last night, I think. I made another straight flush. Yeah.
Do people get full houses often?
Fairly often.
That's like 3 maybe, and 2, right?
Yeah, that's 3 and 2. That's like 3 kings and 2 jacks. Something
Everyone
like
knows
that.
This, but the more people on the is it 8 people? Is that a full table in this?
I think we play 10.
Oh, with 10 people, you need a pretty good hand to win a lot. Like if we were to play heads up and I had a pair of 4s, it might beat you, right? There's a pretty good chance. A pair of 4s and 10 people probably loses.
Yeah, that's where like pre-flop raising comes in big. The amount of if you have those 4s, you might make it $10, $7 or $8 if anyone wants to call and see the flop and see any more cards. And so like very few people will call that because they've probably got strong cards. And you would imagine that they've probably got big cards like aces, kings, and queens. So if the flop comes and there's no aces, kings, or queens, you can kind of feel safe with your like 7s or 8s. But of course, if you flop a pair of 7s or you flop a set of 7s and there is an ace out there, you're like, oh, we're about to make a lot of fucking money here because maybe he's got a pair of aces with like a queen kicker and I've got 3 7s, like there's I don't know. It's a much more complicated game than it appears to be on the surface. There's a lot going on. I'm still learning. I think most people still are. It's a lot of fun though.
And it's difficult to remove all your emotions and like it. I don't know. I'm letting last hand's loss be like, all right, Woody, get your head in the fucking game. This time we're going to push back a little bit. That's not how you win at poker.
No, I have 0 emotions when I play. I don't give a shit about
as I thought I would. That's where I'll be next time.
Yeah. I just couldn't care less. I treat different players differently. Like there's a couple players who are just, I think of as absolute idiots. Like there's a couple guys in there who are just idiots. So like you kind of have to call them with like a weaker hand most of the time. And sometimes they'll beat you and sometimes they won't, but you just have to call if you're going to be profitable in the long run because they're going to do stupid shit with stupid hands. But then, if you get raised by certain players, it's like, okay, let's leave. Like he doesn't do that unless he's got like a really good hand, and I've kind of learned as time goes on, like who I'm playing with and kind of how they play. The good players, you can't do that to anyway, though, because they mix it up so much.
Yeah.
Who are the tops now? The really
one.
good guy.
Pick
I know
one.
Dirty's
Who's
probably
the
near
guy?
the top.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
I
gonna
wanna
pick
s-
one.
No,
I'm not
that's
gonna
what I
pick
really
one.
want you to do.
Yeah, everybody wants that. I don't know. Like Dirty does very well. Alexander always plays very well.
Mhm.
Ari's been playing pretty fucking good. Scum plays pretty good. You know, all those guys play well. You know, I don't know. I haven't looked at the wins and losses or whatever. Like I said, I'm like breaking even most of the time. Like I'll have a good night followed by a bad night.
You had a good
and-
run, a couple good like. I remember you had a week that might have been a 4-digit week or something.
Oh yeah, I had a 4-digit night. You know,
Okay.
and then you know the week just kept going better and better. But like you know, there's ups and downs with that game, and I'm just not good enough to like always be a consistent winner. I don't think. And there's also luck involved too. So like shit happens. Like sometimes I'll have ace king and they'll have ace 10 and they'll just get a 10. You know, the odds are in my favor. If we could do this over and over for like infinite
Mhm.
money, I would do that, right? Because like I'm way ahead. The odds are in my favor, but sometimes they just don't go that way.
Sometimes you do get emotional. I'm thinking about that. I've definitely seen you get. Months ago, I saw you absolutely rail at a guy who was winning, but not the way you wanted him to.
Yeah.
And there was another guy who you're like, I'm about to fold, but I want you to know before that you played this horribly.
Yeah.
If you have these cards, then you should have made a lot more money than you did. And if you don't have those cards, then you shouldn't be winning at all. You're gonna win this, but you suck at poker.
Yeah.
Here's my money.
I've done that. I've done that.
More, Mr. Robot. How you?
I
have
will
no
get
money.
mad, but I won't. But see, that's a perfect example of me being a robot, right? Because I didn't let my anger affect my decision. The correct decision was to fold, and even though I felt like I was, even though anger would make me want to be like, you know, I'm gonna fucking call you. Fuck you. I want your money. Like I'm just like, you know what? Let it go. Let it go. It's $20. We live to fight another day. I try not to let anger like make me like do things, but it will make me say things sometimes. I'll occasionally say some things. I try not to because it's me. It's shitty. I do. It's rare when I'm just like when I do stuff like that.
The show, and also I feel like the rules are different for hosts. You know, like if you, Taylor, or I flip out, I think there's a lot of people enjoying that. And if like another Discord or Patreon or something flipped out, they might be a dick. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy in that regard.
I don't know. I try not to be a dick. I try to be polite. You know, if they beat me, I try to say nice hand. But yeah, if they just play awfully and then somehow like just get lucky, I may indeed point out. Like,
and it depends how you flip out. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, you know, if you were to be like an ace, are you serious? An ace at the end? This is awful. Then you're not hurting my feelings, you know, when you say that. But if you're like, fuck you, Woody, you only won because of that ace, that's a different thing than I said the first time.
Usually you'll just hear me like hitting my desk. Usually you'll just hear me hitting my desk or something like that. Or like when I was streaming the other night and something bad happened, I was just like, he's got the straight. He's got the straight. You know, it's just like shit happens. It's a fun game. That's what makes it fun. I'm going to try to get a heartbeat monitor and like display it on my stream because I swear to God, when I've got a good hand or when I'm bluffing, my heart rate fucking skyrockets. It's so high. Like it's got to be 140, 150 or something. Like I'm sitting there and like I'll go quiet in the stream. Like they'll be like, Kyle's got something. Kyle's got something here. And I'm just like slowly betting.
I don't want to say this because I'm afraid that because I want you to do it, but that's a tell. You're like, guys, I'm going to put my pulse on screen. So like that, I feel like,
I mean, it goes high if I'm bluffing too. So I don't feel like it is.
Like that. Yeah.
And I mean, my betting is telling you what's up. Like I'm talking about like if I flopped like a full house or something like that, and I know he's drawing at a flush and I'm slowly he's like $70 and I'm calling, $150 and I'm calling, and I see the third heart come out. I know he's got the flush. I know I'm about to get all of his money, which that literally happened the other night. My heart is going because I know I'm about to take all this guy's money. Mm-hmm. It's really fun.
You think you're about to take all his money?
Well, then you did take all his money.
And in that instance, I like there's something called the nuts, which is when you have like literally the best possible hand. Like you can look at the cards on the board and you can be like, yeah, nothing beats me. Mm-hmm. There are no two cards that beat my two cards, and that was the instance in that situation. Like
that's what the nuts means.
Yeah, usually if I'm putting lots of money in, I have the nuts or close to it.
as context, I heard people. I was like, "Oh, the nuts means a really good hand." I
Yeah,
didn't
like you're about
interpret
to bust. That's what I thought.
No, because they mentioned having the nuts a couple of times, and I was like, "Oh, that means there's a high likelihood of winning." But now I understand it. It means that, given the 5 out there, the best things you can have in your pocket are these. And
yeah. Like I think I had King 10, and the flop came King 10. So like there's just nothing that beats me. There's not there aren't enough kings and 10s left to make a better hand than what I have, and there aren't enough. Like I guess
he could have 2 kings.
There aren't any more. There aren't 2 kings left. There's only 1 king left.
Oh, you did say King 10, didn't you?
Yeah. Like the only thing that beats me at that point is if he has pocket aces and the next card is an ace and the next card is an ace, which just
then he'd have the nuts.
Yeah, then he has a magical hand. If he's got magic dick syndrome, then I'm happy to pay that off. But that ain't happening.
Did you ever lose like a hand where you're so sure you're gonna win that it's just you take it as an omen that you're like, you know what, guys, I'm out for the evening. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I cut my losses short. If I lose $100 or $200, I'm just like, all right, that's it. I'm done for the night.
That's smart.
Some of those guys just keep going. They keep going and throwing like good money after bad. I won't do that. But yeah, I've had like. I've had a full house beaten by 4 of a kind, and I've had like an ace high flush beaten by a straight flush. Those are really shitty situations where it's like there's only the odds of you having that are just bad. If you have it, you have it, and I lose my money. That's kind of how you have to play poker. Like you can't fold an ace high flush. You can't fold kings full of aces. Like you just can't do those things. But I've ran into all of that. We play a lot of hands, and so you see a lot of variance, and you see a lot of ridiculous hands. I made a straight flush last night. I don't know how many times I made 4 of a kind last night, at least 3. You know, like you see some really strong hands when you play as much as we do, as many hands as we play, as quickly as we play.